Welcome to this episode of Crypto Calling. Today's guest is Oamen. He is the co-founder of the MeProtocol, and I talked to him about how the blockchain changes loyalty rewards programs. Welcome to this week's episode of Crypto Calling. Today's guest is Oamen. He is the co-founder of MeProtocol and part of our BFG Superstars program. Paul, I'm very thrilled to have you here with me. Welcome to the show.
Yes, Felix. I'm glad to be here also. I'm excited.
Before we start off, can you briefly introduce yourself? What do you do at MeProtocol, and what was your way into the BFG Superstar program? What did you do beforehand?
Okay. My name is Paul, like you rightly said, and basically, for past 6 years, I've just been like a developer, right? Let me say a Web2 developer. So basically, write some codes and do lots of stuff. Then I actually have a background in electrical electronics engineering. So I did electrical electronics engineering. And during that process, we basically, we're into microcontroller programming, building of circuits, doing amazing stuff, control systems, control engineering, computing, intelligent systems, and all of that. And then, so programming was just very, very key to me, both hardware and software. Right. So, but then towards my final year in school around 2018, 2019, I fell in love deeply with, just standalone applications that never had to do with microcontroller, just Web2 based applications. And I did a lot of software for people. And I sold some software out, I made some money and all of that. And I said, wow, this is cool. I want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg or something. So we finished, we put up a company, and then we started doing one or two stuff. And then I think after then, I got invited to the Pan Atlantic University. Okay, in Nigeria, there's this university with a vision of building the best engineering school in Africa. So they say, hey, Paul, come join us to start this amazing project. And then I joined the university. And then quickly we started building a lot of stuff. I'm making this call from here right now. So we started the building project, and it went cool and nice. And it was while I was in the university that somebody, told me about crypto. Like I've heard about crypto, like blockchain, for like a long time, really.
Right.
Where I was like, what's this? This is scam. This is Ponzi. This is, I don't know. So, but then someone introduced me to crypto here and told me, hey, Paul, you could make some money by investing in this. So I like a try. I'm very, very dynamic and fluid. So I gave it a try. I invested some money in crypto and I made some returns, like, wow, cool. And having this very great business mindset, immediately I went out to some of my friends and told them, hey guys, this is not scam. In fact, I'm going to give you a deal. Invest in crypto. If you lose, I cover 50% of the loss. People were like, wow, this is cool. So a lot of people gave me their money too. And then with that, we were able to make some investment. We made a lot of money. And it was very, very amazing for me until, some guy called me one day and said, Paul, I want you to trade for me. I'm going to give you a large sum of money and I want you to trade for me. And I was like, I've never done any trade before. I don't know how to trade. I just invest in this stuff. When it gets to a certain price, after some months, I sell off. So, but he wants me to do day trading or something. But being very, very optimistic, I said, I'm going to give it a try. And then I think that was where things really got bad for me. I gave it a try and I lost a lot of money because I lost so much. And I didn't just take from that guy. I took from so many people and I lost a lot of money. And I think that was the big turning point for me. So for the first time, I actually asked myself, like, what is this thing I'm really losing money on? Like, what is this? So that was when I started studying and realized that, wow, this is a technology. It's not just some investment scheme or some trading scheme. And being a developer, I've been building intelligence system. And I realized that, hey, this is something I could go into. Then I started learning about the Ethereum programming and the rest. And long story short, I became a blockchain developer along that line. So just to fast forward to the BFG. Now, when I started writing codes and people, one of the things people know me for is I'm very, very innovative. Like back in school, I've always been innovative. I built a software for my class. I did stuff. So one of my colleagues just said, hey, Paul, you're going to be best at this. There's this incubation program. I saw this flyer out there. I want you to apply to this stuff. You're very smart. You should get into this program. So, he sent me, I was very busy. I had a lot of stuff on my table, but I just said, hey, let me do this. They said, send a 1-minute video. There was this long form I had to fill. I ate long forms. but I had
Yeah.
to fill the form. And then just did it anyway. I was not really sure. And then I received a mail, Max saying, like, hey, Paul, congratulations, you'll be selected for the BFG. And that was how I got into the BFG program.
Awesome.
So then, but when I joined the program, remember I told you we had a company at first, like when we finished school?
Mhm.
We had some setbacks because running a company is not just about the tech. You could be very techy, but then there's a lot of side to running a company. And in fact, when I got into BFG, the first few weeks we had a lot of things on those problems were very, very clarified. So BFG like took us on different aspects, not just focusing on the tech, because in fact, the tech is the smallest part of the whole problem. And then, so that was how I joined BFG, and the whole incubation process for me was very amazing because I learned a lot. And then I got to meet a lot of people, like very smart people from across the world also, because they were very selective in the program. And then, but the very key thing I think I learned on BFG is the business side, like running, how to really, really scale up your business, what you should be thinking of as a founder, not just the tech, not just the tech. Nobody cares about the tech.
Refining the idea, right? Yeah.
Finding the idea. I mean, looking at so many other angles, and this is what BFG did. But along the line also, we had to pair up, and I got paired up with Robert. Now, Robert is a genius. Like, he called me the first day I got into BFG. I introduced myself as an engineer, software engineer, all of that. So he texted me on LinkedIn, and then we met on call. But we didn't hook up like at the first stage. So I was still trying to experiment with other people. But then towards the end, we got hooked up, and then he told me of this idea he had about. Anyway, I'll wait for you to ask the question or the idea of the MeProtocol. So I think I've talked too much.
I think I'm gonna go there right away. What does MeProtocol do?
Okay, very cool. So what MeProtocol do is that we wouldn't say it's totally new, but it's trying to solve a very huge problem in this space right now. What MeProtocol is doing is the same thing Singapore Airlines did in 2018. You know about loyalty programs, right?
Right.
I know you're very familiar with loyalty programs and loyalty points, but the truth is research has shown that these programs do not work. At every point in time, there's $180 billion in the space, but over $90 billion is not effective right now. So, but some guys who were able to really, really make headway is Singapore Airlines. So what they did was just to partner with a lot of brands and all of that. I don't want to go into all those details. So, but the thing MeProtocol is trying to do is, you know, miles and more, right?
Right.
Whereby you have a point from any of them, you can exchange it along with the others, right? So this same thing Singapore Airlines did. They partner with a lot of smaller brands. I get a loyalty point from flying Singapore Airlines. I can spend it on any other brand that Singapore Airlines has partnered with. So we are building this one sovereign blockchain protocol that any business connected to this protocol, the consumers can use loyalty points from one of the brands across any other brands connected to the protocol. So I can get a loyalty point from, say, Amazon or AliExpress, and I can spend it on Gucci. I mean, so one sovereign protocol. And this is powerful because conventionally, the aim of loyalty programs were to retain customer.
Right.
But with each protocol, we are evolving from just customer retention to new customer acquisition. Because right now, once you're connected to the protocol, you open the doors to get a new customer. Let's say I'm from Nigeria and I'm trying to come to Berlin or something, and I fly like, let's say Eric Airways. Eric Airways would give me points right now. And when I get to Berlin, the next thing I want to check is, are there hotels on this protocol that I can redeem these points to get a discount to sleep for a night? And automatically, those hotels just acquired a new customer with the same loyalty program, even though they didn't know me from anywhere, right? So connecting to this protocol not just helps you retain your old customers, but opens the door for you to acquire new customers. And also, one last thing I should mention about the protocol, aside connecting a lot of multiple brands and enable you to exchange loyalty program, it helps you keep track of your loyalty points. Why loyalty programs don't work right now is people can't keep track of them. Like, even if you want to, you can't. I mean, there are so many points out there. And with the metaverse, it's going to be crazy because everything in the metaverse is going to be do and earn. People want to incentivize you to spend time on their part of the metaverse. So you keep earning. So see our protocol as that one place where immediately you earn, you can keep track of this point. I got this point, click a button. Gucci gave me a point, click a button and keep track of it on this one app. So that app becomes like, think of it as a wallet where you can just see, oh, I have all these loyalty points across many brands. And in that same app, you can see what to spend those points on. So you don't need to go back to Gucci website to figure out what do I redeem my points for. You can see what to spend those points on, and you can even spend those points across every other brand connected to the protocol across the whole world. I mean, not restricted to region or space.
Yeah.
And even in the metaverse, yeah.
That's a beautiful vision. What are the current roadblocks? What keeps you from conquering the world of loyalty programs?
Well, there's a lot of things we are still looking at right now. First of all, some would be on the brand preferences right now, right? A lot of brands have various preferences, right? So some could say, hey, I don't want my point to be exchanged for this brand's product or something, right? So these are some of the things we are really, really looking at. Then there's another thing about that has to do with the interoperability of blockchain. Our protocol is trying to be agnostic of whatever blockchain you're using to implement your loyalty points right now. A lot of people, okay, let me just take it one after the other. So a big problem would be interoperability of blockchains. Just imagine there is this brand that has already created their own token on, say, Solana, and there's another brand that has their own token on, say, Ethereum. Our protocol is supposed to be able to enable a swap of these tokens to make somebody with this brand's loyalty point to be able to redeem at the other brand. I mean, that's how the protocol is working. So one of the novel things we are trying to work on right now is to be able to fix this kind of enable this cross blockchain token swap. So that is one. Then the other challenge you could have is that not all brands have evolved into tokenization of their loyalty points. Right now, our protocol accepts just native traditional loyalty points, but to be able to enjoy this interchangeability across multiple brands, they need to be tokenized. So these are some of the minor roadblocks we are really looking at overcoming. But we are very optimistic that brands will tokenize, okay? Because the data is there. The numbers keep going up, yearly.
Mm-hmm. What's your pitch to the major brands when you try to convince them of joining your protocol?
Well, the core idea is, first of all, it is frictionless, right? I mean, the protocol is agnostic of whatever loyalty program you have. We are not changing whatever loyalty program you have. We are not touching it in any way. You could have your loyalty program running, just connect to this protocol, and then you have access to even more things in this powerful multi-vendor system, right? And the second thing is, new customer acquisition. With the same budget that you have for your loyalty, you can now acquire a new customer, right? And in fact, some brands might be worried, so why should my customer go spend my points somewhere else? Of course, the same way people can go spend your points somewhere else, the same way customers from somewhere else can spend their points on you.
Right.
And every time your customer spends somewhere else, the protocol rewards you as a brand. And in fact, raises something called a bounty, where those tokens spent are airdropped to other new users that could come back to spend on you. It's a very, very interesting ecosystem. So the major thing we used to pitch to them is, first, is frictionless. It doesn't affect whatever program you have before. We are not changing it, just plug into us and then have this superpower ecosystem, right? The same budget line and a lot of other things. So that's like one of the major selling points. And then you get access to new customer acquisition with and this is going to happen either ways, because very soon people want to have all their loyalty points in one place. It's going to be overwhelming to go to the metaverse and earn from so many places, or in the world right now, earn loyalty points from so many businesses. How do I keep track of it? So people want to organize it in one place, and in that one place, see what to use it for. So this has been our major selling points to the brands right now.
Awesome. So now the question for me is, what is planned next? What are the next steps? When can we hear about you? When do I have my MeProtocol in front of me?
Well, we have switched our roadmap like leading to that particular stage. Before the end of this year, we would have a really full-fledged MVP, right? So, but right now, most of the things we are really focused on is the community-driven part. And like immediately right now, we are focused on the community. We have some plans to launch our NFT project like very, very soon. So we are focused on the community-driven part and then also building the basic protocol and the application. So before the end of the year, you would get an MVP, right? We've already spoken to some brands. We are securing pilot brands already. So running down to the end of the year, there will be testing of those by the pilot brand, validations and the rest. And let's say early next year, we begin to have a product that would be the market for people to see. Okay, so this year, just focus on the MVP and then driving the community already. Because we've spoken to a lot of people. People love this idea. People are excited about this. brands are waiting to see the MVP. So we are focused on these two aspects for the short term.
All right. All right. Exciting stuff. So where can our listeners find you and your work?
Well, right now they can go to our website at home.myai.life. I mean, you can get to see us about on our website, and then you can play around with a lot of things. But even very soon, you would hear of us very soon because we are pulling up our NFT project soon. So you will see us all over the place, like every single place you would see us. But for right now, if you just want to get to us, I mean, home.myai.life, and then you can see our contact details, our email address, and every other thing in case, I mean, you want to get across to us. Yeah, and we want you to really get across to us actually, because we want to talk a lot about our protocol, and we also want to. I mean, if there are things you think we should also work on, I mean, we are very, very flexible people, right? The space is growing, and we are growing also. So if there are things you think, hey, we want you to adjust this week, I mean, we are very open to suggestions. So we want to hear from you.
All right. All right. Perfect. That was pretty much my last question. I thank you so much for taking your time. Obviously, I think also the listeners for taking their time. And it was amazing talking to you.
Yeah, Felix. It was amazing to you too.
Next week, we'll be back with another very interesting guest. And until then, have a great time.